Today's question is from Michael in New York City. And the question is it true that if you are trying to build strength and lean muscle mass that a lot of running actually hinders the growth of muscle? If so, if you want to increase muscle while losing fat, how much running is good and how much is bad? This question, as far as how we want to answer this, is it can be a little bit complex, and it really, you're going to hear in these questions and answers, my common answer is it all depends. It really does depend. But one of the things you have to remember about building muscle is that risk of overtraining. And a lot of times, when you're talking about building muscle, people are very, very impatient, and they want to go from 100 pounds on the bench to 200 pounds on the bench in a month. When the reality is when you're talking about gaining strength, gaining muscle, it all comes down to progression. So if you're progressing forward continuously, if one foot is going forward in front of the other, and you're constantly getting stronger, constantly putting on muscle, then it really doesn't matter. So we want to look at what prevents people from getting stronger. And a lot of times what it comes down to is it has to do with recovery abilities. If you're putting tremendous amount of stress under your body, but your body's not able to recover from that, then it's going to prevent or put you into an overload state, which is going to prevent the ability to build muscle, and in fact it could cause you to lose muscle. So for instance, is if we're talking about, and that threshold is completely different for each person, and so therefore that's why you want to gauge it on progression. If you're progressively getting stronger, if you're constantly adding weight, or whatever the case may be, your lean muscle tissue keeps going up, and it goes up a little bit at a time, that is fine. So what we want to avoid is we want to avoid being in that overtrained state. And one of the best quotes I've ever heard is, you can't overtrain your muscle, you can only overtrain your system. And think about that for a second. If you look at gymnasts or some of the best power lifters in the world, they're doing their particular craft repetitively, not necessarily, well, pretty kind of almost daily, but at least 3-4 times a week. They're either benching or squatting or pulling from a gymnast or whatever it may be, and those particular areas are incredibly developed. So training particular body parts more than once or twice a week isn't going to put you into an overtrained state. It's your central nervous system. It's the amount of stress overall that is under your body that determines whether or not your body's in an overtrained state or not. So I guess it really does depend, because it depends on how quickly that particular person can recover, and it depends how much stress is being put on to that particular person. So you're going to get ways that you can improve your recovery abilities. Better nutrition, supplementation. Those are all things that can improve your recovery. Improved rest or improved sleep, reducing stress in your life through job, family, whatever. Those are all things that can help improve your recovery abilities. But if you're training too much, if you are running 10 miles a day, or if you're trying to stay in the gym 3-4 hours a day, no matter how good your nutrition, no matter how good your supplements, no matter how low your stressors or how much you sleep, I want you to hear that again, no matter how good your nutrition, how good your supplements, how good or how much you sleep, or how little stress you have in your life, it will never overcome too much training. You only want to do what's necessary. So if a moderate amount is getting you stronger on a regular basis, that is going to prevent you from overtraining. And so therefore, too much is not good. A little bit, or the right amount, you want to do what is necessary. You don't need to do too much, because too much doesn't necessarily equal to more strength. So Mike, to answer your question, running, let's go back to the phrase, it depends. If you're running and you're able to build strength, or you're progressing forward, then the amount of running you're doing is not too much. But if you're not getting stronger, and that's the objective, if your main objective is to get stronger, then you want to look at, is my nutrition adequate? Is my supplementation adequate? Am I, all those other factors, are they good? And if they're good and you're still not getting stronger, then the answer may be that you are doing too much running. But if you're able to run and get stronger and your performance is getting better, then yes, go ahead and do it, because there's nothing wrong with that. It really depends on the performance and the result that you're getting. And the amount that you should be doing. That's why I can't put a exact number on it, and that's where, whether it's us or other fitness professionals, that's why we're here to coach you, because we can look at overall and what you're doing. We can help streamline you as far as your progress is concerned. If you're making progress, great, but if the progress starts to halt, we can break down what you're doing and look. The best thing to take from that answer is yes, it is possible. You can run too much, you can exercise too much, and it will never, there's no amount of good nutrition supplementation that will overcome that. So it really does depend, but first look at your performance. If your performance is good and you're improving, then you're fine. If not, there's some problem that's there, whether it's nutrition, supplementation, or too much training. I hope that answers your question, Mike. Have a great day.
When you feel that something's wrong.